Kristen, do you have one?
Yes.
At least you have been thinking about 6 questions, most likely, but okay, your second one.
When I first entered law school, my professor said, what is truth is not important. It only matters what the jury believes to be true. I think the wisdom applies a lot to this industry. What is true is not important to the public. It matters what the public perceived to be true. When I was 7 years old, during my primary school curriculum, I read the sentence saying that the gas is going to run out in 40 years. I just checked the textbook of my cousin. It still exists. It's still 40 years. It's not even minus in my age. My question is, I understand that you guys are all optimists who believe that human ingenuity will always triumph, natural scarcity, gas will always be there. That's why you are in the industry. So my question is, what's your reaction when you read that line in your children's textbook, that gas is going to run out in 40 years?
40 years. Schlumberger? Inda?
No, look, I'm an optimist because I think the power of technology is tremendous. I think what the unconventional experience in the US showed us that when you think about it, 10 years ago, there was only a few wells drilled around Fort Worth and around Dallas in Texas. And now it's thousands of wells, multiple basins, and essentially the United States of America is self-sufficient in gas. Now, nobody would have predicted that 10 years ago. So if you believe in the magic of technology, and basically when you do that, you're believing in the ingenuity of us humans and our capacity to innovate. I think we haven't finished our innovation. We'll continue to innovate, and therefore, for gas, when you look at the projections by multiple institutions, including the IEA, when you look at how much gas still to be recovered, I think the technology will help us to get that. So I'm very optimistic. It's not because I'm in Schlumberger, it's a technology company. I just know that from past experience and what we've seen that we haven't really solved all the problems that we know of today. So imagine the problems we don't know of that we will be putting our brains to solve. So as far as you believe in human ingenuity and capacity to innovate and invent, I think we are fine. So I'm not too worried.
We are positive. Okay. Thank you for the answer.
Can I make a follow-up of the question?
Okay, go on.
Now I was just told that the gas is going to exist for 250 years, and I immensely regret the choice that I chose to study law. Unfortunately, when I was 7 years old, I believed my textbook. And I was thinking, oh my God, if it's 40 years old, I will lose my job before I retire. Hence my message is that it doesn't matter what the truth is. Now I believe that, but it's too late. I think it applies to a lot of my peers. When they were in the primary school, they believed that gas is going to run out. It doesn't matter what is true. It matters what they believe to be true. Therefore, they choose to study humanities instead of science because we think that if gas is dying, there's no job for us when we graduate.
I think I have to make a follow-up on that. No, look, you have a point, because this is what I think, and maybe us in the industry, we're all nodding, and we think technology will help us in the future. I think we have to communicate. You're absolutely right. And what we might know ourselves is not what prospective students and people looking for a job when they are finishing will know. So I think we have a responsibility to communicate. We haven't done it all the time in a good way. I think we do with our different efforts. Everyone said we do things in our respective companies. How much of that is connected together and giving a full picture to the students? I don't think that's always the case. Forums like this one, some trade associations like SPE and others, I'm sure I'll miss many, are doing efforts to actually talk to students and explain what we do. So we need to communicate, we need to educate, but I think the very important thing we need to do is to revive the interest in sciences from basic elementary education all the way to university. I think today our popular culture is basically celebrating everything. There's quite a popular culture around other things, and I don't think it's very exciting today to hear about science in mainstream media and everything we all hear and listen to every day. So I think our job is to revive the interest in science, in technology, and in the power of deeper understanding of what science can do to us. And I think as we do that, we develop that interest within the younger generations and generations to come to consider the power of technology and the power of human ingenuity. So a lot of communication, a lot of groundwork, and I think there is some of it done, but we can do a lot more. Absolutely.
I see all the phases correct. Okay, big job to go still. I think one of the bridges also here in the IGU is to interconnect to the youth and indeed to communicate and to see what is the next steps in our development is a step forward. So we have to continue with the youth. Milton, your question.
So many times oil and gas companies operate in 30 world countries. I'd like to know your opinion, what are the companies' roles in helping these 30 world economies while developing their oil and gas resources?
Emma?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I heard the question. How do we work with...
What are the company roles
The company
in
roles.
helping these 30 world economies while they are developing their...
we have a very important role to play. We must be involved in the communities in which we operate in a number of different ways, but in helping to share the benefits of that development with those communities through things like infrastructure development, new schools, training workers, health programs, whatever is required in that particular community. We need to engage, we need to listen, and then we've got to think about how we share the benefits of that resource development in that particular environment. It's key. There are lots of ways we can do it, but it's very important, and we need to be doing more of it than we are. And trying to, I was at the APEA conference recently, and it was really interesting debate about the challenges of Queensland coal bed methane development. One of the issues is people in Queensland see having coal bed methane on your land as a liability, not as an asset, because they're not benefiting from development of that asset. And so, making sure that the communities in which we operate are able to share in those benefits, whether it's in a Western environment like Queensland or whether it's in an emerging economy, such as places that we're operating in Africa. We have to share what we're benefiting from with that community and with the people in that community.
It was a topic also with the youth on public responsibility, and I think this is one of the issues getting on the table anyway. Not connected to certain persons or certain areas, disconnected, no energy. How to deal with that? Brian, you are in Oman. How is Oman LNG? It's a national oil corporation. How do you look to that, besides the answer from Emma as an international oil corporation?
Well, I have to agree with them. I mean, we work within communities. Secondly, our business is capital intensive, but not necessarily people intensive in the tens and thousands of people who need employment at any given time. So indeed, as we interact with communities, apart from awareness of what we're doing, understanding of what we're doing, engagement as much as possible in what we're doing, is to create employment opportunities within the communities and within the countries. The adage is, you can choose to give the fish or the fishing rod, and the choice is very clear. Another example, when I was in Nigeria, again, we had a community of nearly 200,000 close to us, no electricity. We provided electricity. The shock was that we said, you have to pay for it. But the impact it had on that community's economic well-being was enormous. In terms of that, because they paid for it, we had a controllable supply because it wasn't wasted. But more importantly, they then understood the value, factored that into their businesses, and they were then a community with 99.8% availability. That was close to European standards, yeah? It was unique in Nigeria, I can tell you. But again, you could see the community blossom and grow, and they started their businesses. We didn't have to do it for them, yeah? Because they had the basic tools, yeah? Education and health are also tremendously important, particularly in developing areas. Education, skills for the economy that's needed. Sometimes it can be very basic. Health is very important, because without the health, without young children who are free of worms, they don't learn. without an attitude to things like HIV/AIDS. It kills, doesn't it? No. The real message is you can live with it. And how do you live with it? And how do you develop as a community? These are things that we can get involved in to enrich a community, improve its economic self-sufficiency, but also economic independence from just one national source. Because otherwise they become dependent on that oil and gas, and they need to diversify. So I think the opportunities for the national oil companies and gas companies is huge, and it's tremendous, and it is a responsibility, and it's fascinating also.
Thank you so much. Everybody in the room here, I have to thank you on behalf of the youth. I'm a little bit older. I thank you very much for the panel that you were so free to sit here and to receive the questions which were not really sent beforehand. I think it's a tremendous step forward by IGU that we interconnect the youth. This is the first formal setting, I hope. This initiative, forwarded by Lady Mei Lee on the forward. Thank you very much for your support. Really, give it a big yell. Come on. we should continue this activities in the next 3 years. Forward to Paris. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a takeaway that cooperating with the youth, our future, my pension, is a worthwhile thing of taking care of. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gert Griving, for the closing remarks. Loved your humor. And thank you to our youth panelists. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to our senior youth, our esteemed senior youth panelists. Thank you so much. Let's give it up one more time for them. Thank you for this lively discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now invite you for coffee break. This is happening in all over the village, the Concept Village. And we like to also just remind you that the exhibition is actually open throughout the WGC 2012 week, and you're also invited to visit the many impressive booths and stands at the exhibition. And the next session will begin. We have got about six or seven breakout sessions after the coffee break. So have a good and productive day ahead. We'll see you later. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.